Hello, everybody.
Hi.
It's been a while. So we are trying this again. But oh my goodness, guys, happy New Year's. It is 2023. Wild. And I'm really nervous because it's been a while since we recorded. And so I feel very disheveled, but it's
I
going to be an
can't tell at
exciting.
all.
I'm so glad we don't upload our videos because, oh my days, it's too much. But anyway, before we go into what we're going to talk about today, we are a podcast that covers a variety of topics from faith, enneagram, being a third culture kid, navigating adulting, etc., and a lot of brain dumps, as you know from our previous episodes.
So, welcome to our 11th episode of
At
At
the
the
table.
Table.
Oh my goodness. Crazy. It is already our 11th episode. That's kind of wild.
I
We are
kind of,
ambitious.
I know. Well, I like that we did 10 in 2022, and then we're
Yes.
starting off the year strong. Like we said, we are talking about burnout, which is, we're like, why are we talking about burnout when this is supposed to be like a New Year's high and we're supposed to start off strong? But this is something that Yana and I have been talking about
Mhm.
for a while and just thinking, well, we did a lot of reflection on 2022.
Mhm.
Obviously, you can listen to the podcast episode for more of that. But today we're covering like, what is burnout? What does it look like for each enneagram type? And this is where
Woohoo.
Yena's studies and her
LOL.
specialties come into play, which is
No.
exciting. I'm just so excited to just hear what Yena has to say and really just add my little comments
LOL.
here and there. But not only are we going to talk about just the burnout, like how can each Enneagram type like grow from that? So we just don't want to stay in that burnout zone. We want to
No,
continue to
sir.
think about, yeah. Want to think about, okay, like what are ways that we can grow and keep what are things that we can keep in mind
Hmm.
as we move forward with this year. So that's going to be our first part. And hopefully we have a part two where we're sharing more of
Yes.
our experiences with our Enneagram types.
Right.
So let's get started. We're being ambitious here. This is a
Yeah.
full episode.
Yes.
But I can start off with sharing like the definition of burnout, and then
Yes.
Yenna, you can kind of take us off with each type. We're starting with eights,
Do my best.
and I got this right. We're starting with the head triad.
We're starting with the body
Ah,
try. It's
body
okay.
triad, then heart, then
Yes.
head.
Yes.
Okay.
We got
Okay,
this.
gotcha. Okay, so burnout, rather than just running on this New Year's high fumes, how do we consistently set ourselves for success? So, what is burnout? Yana, do you have? I'm trying to find the definition of
Wait for it. Burnouts. Oh my days.
what?
It pulls us up to talking about combustion. So we are not doing science. Okay, here it is. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. Oof.
Hmm. We're
What?
like, oh my gosh, resonate with that right now.
Mm,
Thank you for that. And I guess we were trying to just emphasize like burnout doesn't exactly mean depression. Like there's clearly a difference. And I
right.
think, at least for me personally, like I did not see the difference with that. But
Mm,
I also don't truly understand like what clinical depression was back
mm,
then. So I just wanted to like remind y'all that like it is a separate thing, and
it
we just
is.
want to focus on what burnout can look like, and not go into like the deep parts of what depression is.
Right.
So we're given like a brief description of like what does it look like in each type.
Right.
Yana, would you like to
Yes.
start us off with the eights?
Will do. So, just to reiterate what Jessie said, we're going to start with the body triad, which is 8, 9, and 1. And I'll just kind of go over those. But before I do, I really want to say I'm still learning. So, if I ever say anything that is offensive or possibly incorrect, I'm going to look back and cringe so much. But it's okay. We are learning together. And I got a lot of this information from a group that I'm actually learning from and learning and being trained from, and they're called Your Enneagram Coach. So it's very straightforward.
And
but
they're on Instagram too, right?
they're on
Okay.
Instagram. They have their own curriculum, which I'm learning off of. So I get a lot of this information from them. So I want to make sure that this is not my work. But yes. So starting with eights, when they are burnt out, they're already a very passionate group of people, but they become very intense and they are becoming more demanding of those around them. So that can look really different, but essentially they become very controlling. They take on more responsibilities and they won't let others take charge as well. So they love that control piece. They become overly self-reliant and not trusting of others. And they become very impulsive. So they make big decisions without careful consideration. So that can look so different, but essentially they get very, controlling, aggressive. And so we have to take a step back, but we'll go into the growth piece in the
Mm-hmm.
second half.
Sorry, just to add something, like
Oh.
when you're hearing this, and if you know your enneagram type and you
Mhm.
hear your own burnout description, like it's going to hurt a little bit. I mean, Yehna sent me mine, and I was like, oh, I don't want to read this. I don't want to hear it. But let's be real, it's because it's somewhat true. And you know, deep down inside, like that's the things that you do and you need to work on.
Right.
And so I would just really receive this with open arms. It's pretty straight to the point.
Right.
It's like daggers, you know, and that's okay because we are all trying
So
to grow
true.
here. But
Right.
and also it's okay if it takes a while for you to like sit with that and
Mm.
be okay with it. Because yeah, it's
Yes.
those are some whew, if I heard that about me, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like
I know. So we are
it's
starting
stabbing me.
23 very strong.
Yeah.
Going on with the nines. So I was about to say we because I'm a nine, but anyway,
Mhm.
they and we become more shut down. So we become more overwhelmed easily. And so in turn, we shut down from all of that emotion because we don't want to simmer in it. And then another is that we become increasingly forgetful the more that we put on our plate. So we kind of like are mindlessly moving our life through our life because we don't want to reflect on it. We don't want to think about it. And so it almost comes off as like you might forget your keys all the time. It might be little as that. And the third one would be we become more stubborn and irritable, which is very interesting aside from becoming shutting down. So we, especially to those who we are most drawn to and love. So
Hmm.
be watchful of how you react to certain things and how you move about life because it's something that you can like almost dismiss because you don't want to think about it in the first place. So a lot of these signs of burnout, not just with nines, a lot of numbers, you almost like can move past it without recognizing that you're slowly dying. So
And more to come with Yehna's story.
no, just kidding. But yes, moving on with ones, they become more relentlessly self critical with any mistake, small or big. So this can look like, anyway, it can be so many things, but I will not get into that. Number two, they will start relations with those around you in a more rigid and resentful way. And they start to complain more about those who are around them and about how they're not doing things well. The third one they will start to believe that you are the only one who could do it correctly. Therefore, they take on more tasks. They don't let others do things because they don't trust that they'll do a good job or just that they don't hold the integrity or the determination to bring about good fruit. So,
Hmm.
number two. So we're starting to go into the heart triad with 2, 3, and 4. So with 2, starting with 2, when they are burned out, they start becoming more manipulative and inserting themselves into others' lives, believing that others need their help and that they know what's best for the other person.
Ouch. Keep going.
And then another one will be that they start to complain more about how they do more in comparison to others, or they complain more about how people are showing a lack of appreciation or acknowledgement for what they do. So kind of they think that they're the only ones doing things for others and being generous. And the third would be that they become more frantic and chaotic to those around them because they're committed to doing so much for others that they lose their sense of organization, and they lose a sense of stability in their life because they're just being pulled in every which direction. So number 3, they start to overcommit to things because they're a doer. There's a lot of doers in the Enneagram, but there are doers. So they start overcommitting to things that are necessary in their minds or optimal for success and productivity. So that could look like signing up to classes a lot or trying to be of service, especially if you have like that wing 2 in you. So very cool stuff. And number 2, they become far more rigid when it comes to plans you make and anyone who asks you to change it. So if they have a plan in mind, they have a hard time letting that go. And lastly, will become apathetic to what normally brings joy and creativity. Guys, let's come back. Number 4, the last of our heart triad. So they start to seek attention from others. And 2, become more frantic in everyday life. They try to find stability and rest. And that rest can look not so healthy, if that makes sense. And number 3, they fixate on the internal emotional world, lose creativity. Like a stereotype of that would just put on headphones, block out the world, listen to really sad songs, so kind of that. And then they kind of lose that motivation to shine their creative world with creative thoughts with the world. And so now moving on to, last but not least, the head triad. So starting off with 5, when they are burnt out, they isolate themselves from friends and families. So they kind of disappear. And number 2, they're easily angered and agitated with life and others. Yeah, it gets a little messy with that. And number 3, they lose emotional space for the lives of those around you. So they become very inward thinking, try to preserve as much of themselves as possible, which in turn, they push everyone out. 6, they become overly responsible for things around you, for around the 6. So they try to take charge. And sometimes that can look a bit aggressive and a little sharp. And 2, they have anxious thoughts. If I'm doing enough, or is this my fault? So they kind of start getting stuck in their heads. 6, a very big stereotype, and a reason it is a stereotype is it happens more often than not. 6 tend to be the more anxious type than most Enneagram numbers. They live inside their heads with that. That's the head triad. 3rd, they struggle with making decisions even though you're thinking through all the scenarios. They go crazy, but now they have to make a decision for themselves. They aren't able to pinpoint what they truly need for themselves. Now, last but not least, we did not forget you, 7s. 7, they become more energetically scattered and refuse rest or anyone that tries to slow them down. So 7s are the energetic and exuberant and very bright group of people. So this is where it's scary, because sometimes it just borders on what their personality is already like. And so it's really about being observant of these differences, even if it feels so slight. It's just like that thin line between sanity and insanity. And number 2, become less engaged with those close to you and become more rigid and controlling. 3rd one, they struggle to make decisions even though you're thinking through all the scenarios. So 7s have that 6 wing in them. So they sometimes have a hard time because they also are very like futuristic people. So they are always about wanting to do things, and sometimes they get caught up in wanting to experience new things that they have a hard time committing to what's present to them. But yeah, so I know that was a lot. And even just hearing about it makes me feel uncomfortable because these are not such positive things.
Mhm.
But like Jessie said, I really hope that you don't take this as an attack or saying that you guys are in a wrong place, whoever feels that, who relates to a lot of what I said, but more as a call to gain perspective on yourself and
Mhm.
know that you are deserving of so much better, although it is difficult to come to terms with that. But
Mm.
yes, really wanted to say that, especially while reading this. I'm like, wow, my hands are sweaty. Just picturing people listening to this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm being attacked. But
No, for
yes.
sure. And the thing is, like, I don't know if you guys, when you guys take your Enneagram test, you kind of see your results, and obviously you know which one is the most dominant, and that would be, your Enneagram type. But again, like when I got my Enneagram results, I had like obviously a strong 2, but then I had a strong 7 or a strong 9. And so you can relate to multiple of these types of burnout ways.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be just your Enneagram type. Like maybe
Right.
you listen to Yehna give a description of the threes burnout and you resonated with some, but maybe you resonated more with other Enneagram type. And that's okay
Right.
too. Like we're all such unique and different people in the way that
Mhm.
we process, especially like Yehna and I were talking about this, like based on our birth order or based on our family background or cultural background
Mhm.
or upbringing, like the way that we interpret stress or hard things in life, like that's all different. And that's okay. And that's so cool that we are so unique and special in that way. So,
Love that.
yeah, I just wanted to add that piece to it before we move on to
Thank
the
you.
growth section.
I agree. Yeah, it's so true. I know that it's like feels very cookie cutter, but just know
Mm-hmm.
that this is a very generalization, and it might be you might relate with it so like clearly, but it also for those who don't, just know that like Jessie said, we're such unique individuals, so it
Mm-hmm.
will relate in different ways. But enough with the tension. We wanted to not just leave you with, oh my gosh, you guys are breaking. So bye. But entering into 2023, recognizing that we are in a place of need, but how do we move forward from that so we can make the most of this year, especially we had an extreme, like, difficult streak of years. 2020 hit with the pandemic, the world falling apart. And then
Mm-hmm.
2021, we're just like still just barely coming out of it, navigating how to still live in the pandemic. And now 2022, we're like, okay, we're kind of getting used to it. Still, things are new. And now 2023 comes. So we're trying to make the most of it. So hopefully, it will be a beginning of growth and a lot of reconciliation with self and those around you. We are going to go back in the same order of things. And Jessie, please, I know I'm talking a lot today, but Jessie, feel free to chime in. Starting with 8, with all the burnout, we just wanted to remind you that I know it's very cliche, but trust that God knows your needs,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that may be. I know that sometimes what our wants may not align with what God wants for us, but trust that he has the best in store for you, and you'll know when it comes. And that might take a lot of patience, but just know that there's no need for fear of the unknown, and let
Mm-hmm.
kind of life take its course. And to find someone that you trust deeply, or learn to find people to trust and share your desires and aspirations with them. Don't just like bottle up your passions and dreams of life and think, oh my gosh, who would want to hear it? So stupid. I don't know. It feels so grandiose, or it feels so like dumb in comparison to what other people are doing. Hey, stop.
Stop right there.
Unacceptable. But no, even if it changes in a year or two, whatever that is, don't be afraid to share that with a friend. For example, I never talked about wanting to do a podcast, but like it was a thing. And then I started sharing with Jessie, and look, what the heck? I'm not saying this is always going to be the case, but what the heck? Who knew I would find someone that shares with that? And that would not have happened if I didn't share like what I wanted to do for the future, because I thought it was stupid. Like, a podcast? Just talking? Anyway, sorry. Moving on. The third one for our eights is do something fun and relaxing, whether that is going rock climbing, or I don't know, going on a walk, or going bowling with friends, or just like finding a new restaurant to go to. Just do something that is not so serious, just live your life and be as rambunctious as you want, but take time to let yourself be a child again. Moving on to our nines, with our tendency to shut down and completely forget and destroy any signs of tension and uncomfortability, really, I urge you guys to lean into those overwhelming emotions. Talk to a trusted friend. I know there's some people out there like, I don't have trusted friends. Hey, there is going to be someone out there. It's really a matter of you saying, I don't want to live afraid anymore. I really am calling you guys out. I think I have a right to. And second is, in kind of going with that theme, enjoy deep friendships. Really take time to be grateful for the people around you and relax in the thought that there are people who care. And last but not least, go outside, decompress, engage with just what's around you physically, if that's a park nearby, or going to a cafe, you just really wanted to try this new coffee that you saw, or going to the gym. I don't gross, but whatever. But
you said that and you were like,
but trying to engage more with life. It's really about waking up, you nines. And with ones, trust God's timing. Another little cliche, but trust that he cares and that he has full control. I know you work so hard to gain that control for yourself, to do right, but know that at the end of the day, you are covered with God's grace. And all that you do, not to make you feel like down, but it won't matter. What matters most will be that you pursue God and that he is standing right next to you and he knows what's best for you, and he will prove himself time and time again. Starting with that. Number two, recognize people are truly trying their best. As much as you are working your butt off to make things perfect, like perfection, know that other people are struggling with that too. And with that knowledge, extend kindness to others. It can feel very difficult because you're not kind to yourself. So extend that kindness and grace to yourself and to others. And lastly, really tap into your childhood interests, your child self. Buy that Lego set you've been eyeing in that Target aisle. Get it. Or bowling because you're so scared that you're going to be the last in place. Hey, forget about it. Just have fun. Go to that like glow in the dark kind of places. Kind of cool. Or do things that you've always wanted to do, but you're so like embarrassed, or you didn't think your time was not worth it for that. Time to throw that all away in 2023. Have fun. Okay. Now moving on to our heart triad twos. Guys, this is gonna be difficult. I mean, it's gonna be difficult for everybody, but it's hard because really it's relearning self-love. Know that your value, that you are Christ's beloved. What is that? Just kidding. But really know that you are loved. I'm very careful with this. I need to very clarify this. You are loved for you, not for what you do for others. You need to really think about that, because a lot of times you get mixed up with being loved for your not performance, but for your deeds and generosity and your kindness towards others. But no, it's really about how Christ loves you because he died for you. And number two, express more clearly your needs. Don't leave room for resent in your heart. Don't do that. Whoever you love, as much as you love them and care for them, trust that they love and care for you too. Honestly, sometimes being upfront is scary and feels almost selfish and wrong. Think about, as much as you want to be loved by caring for others, they might want to feel the same way. Kind of trying to share that perspective with others, if that makes sense. And lastly, spend time, like rejuvenating time with yourself. Go on a date with yourself. Guys, this is a year, it's already so like popularized. No, really, eat sushi by yourself, whatever you want to do, and go on a date with yourself, or go to a cafe and journal about what you wanted all these years and what you wanted to do for yourself. Go to Zara and buy that dress that you were wanting. And instead of spending that money to buy coffee for someone else, it's for you. All right, moving on to number 3. Stop looking at me like that, Jessie. She's like,
we'll get to it in the next episode.
Oh,
we'll talk more.
Hey, this is not about me. All right, number 3. Okay, guys. Sometimes 3s really get me because they are the epitome of what society desires for them to be, for everyone to be.
So true.
I'm calling you guys out. Don't base your value on your accomplishments, but know that Christ has accomplished everything and loves you and wants you to show up for who you are. And he's not going to just wait for you to be successful. He's like, oh, you're not successful. I'm sorry. You don't have an A+. I don't want you in my kingdom. You are not qualified. Bro, what the heck? Which Sunday school did you go to? Oh, we don't need to go into that. Well,
it's a trigger point there.
Oh, sorry. I got a little heated. Anyway, God loves you. Whoever needs to hear that, not just 3. Okay, not just like loves you. He likes you. Know that. Number 2, enjoy the relationships God gave you. This is the key point. Slow down. Can I say that again? Slow down.
You're passionate about this one.
I am. You guys are go-getters, and that's awesome. Honestly, a lot of us won't function without you. It's okay to let things go a little bit sometimes. Number 3, enjoy real relaxation and rejuvenation. Okay. Sometimes you're like, I feel so relaxed when I do laundry and clean up my kitchen. That's awesome. Great. Okay. But do something else. Sorry. Do find something else to do. Go outside. Go get that pizza. Okay. Go get that soda you wanted. Go to that froyo place you were looking at. That aesthetic place you were trying to go to, and take pictures, do photography, a photo shoot with your friends, do something that is outside of being productive in your mind. Okay. Really take time to do that and rediscover your hobbies. Yes, this is a year to be a go-getter and get awesome and be growing and be healthy, but there's balance with that. Okay. So,
and I was going to say, this is something
yes.
that my therapist challenged me to do, was to literally have like 5 to 10 minutes where you put the timer on and you just sit. And I kid you not, for me, I do 5 minutes and it's the hardest thing to do in my life, which for others,
that makes me
like,
get like goosebumps thinking about it.
It's so hard. It's so hard. And I'm sure for 3s too, like just sitting there, and you can't like, well, I mean, I guess you can pray, but like you just have to sit there and not do anything. And I challenge you to do it. It's so hard.
So scary. I do not want to do that.
It is. It's gross. It's
but
good,
yes,
gross.
That sounds very terrible, but also I think that would be an amazing exercise. Number 4, the last of our heart triad. You guys really base your value on Christ's love. Okay, there's a little theme with the heart triad. Can you tell? Really try to hone in. With 4s, their stereotype is that you guys don't feel, you guys are feelings. I'm not saying feelings are bad, but try to realign that feeling with Christ. Don't drown in the thought of being too much, or being not enough, or being all of those things, but instead know that you are worth it. Reorient your feelings to celebration and rejoicing in the confidence that you are seen and loved for who you are, and to enjoy relationships, enjoy the people around you. Don't try to isolate yourself because you feel that you'll be overbearing, or you're not allowed to be in the space. I think a lot of times for struggle with envy because they don't feel that they are enough in comparison to people around them, but you are, and you're allowed to take space. Really be grateful for people around you. Last but not least, enjoy time in nature. Really take that in. Whether you go to the beach, go to a forest preserve, to the park, take time to enjoy God's beauty. We are going to number 5s. Okay, guys. You guys know that trust that God will replenish your internal resources. That looks different for every person, but a lot of times, to generalize, 5s are so scared they are wasting their energy, and they try to keep their energy. But know that God has you taken care of. And number 2, allow yourself to need others. 5s are the most self-reliant people. I mean, a lot of us are. They really rely on their own knowledge of things. And so be okay with not knowing about the future or other information, and try to lean in what others can bring to the table. And last but not least, express yourself more. This can be very difficult for a lot of you, but just share your thought and your heart about things and the things that come up in your life. Share with us. We want to hear, especially people who love you. They want to know about those things and hear about the things that you care about and the things that affect you and impact you. So please, it's okay. All right. Number 6. Oh, I guess I didn't tell you. 5s are a part of the head triad. We are in the head triad. 6. Cast all your cares on him. I like the version where it says, cast all your anxieties on him, for he cares for you. The things that we don't even recognize that we need, he knows you need it. So he's gotten you taken care of. Your plan A, plan B, plan C, all the way to Z. He knows it, and he's got it. You are good. Rest in that fact. All right, number 2, you're not responsible for everything. Whatever that you're carrying, set it down. Set it down. You don't worry. If you mess up, it's okay. Take a deep breath. You're gonna be fine. Don't think that you need to clean up everyone's mess. Number 3, experience joy, laughter, and community. Whatever that you're scared of, throw it away. And just take time to be present and enjoy the people that care about you. Lean into your community of people. Play games, go out to restaurants. I don't know. Watch movie, go to the movie theater. There's a new movie out called Puss in Boots. I highly recommend. It's so cute. It's so fun. Essentially, let go of some of those things that are in your head. Take a deep breath and recognize where you're at. Now, last but not least, 7, trust Christ to take care of your needs. I think sometimes 7s are, like I said before, they really want all the options. They want all the experiences, everything. And they're so scared that they're going to miss out on something. And they try to pursue everything. Don't worry, God will place the experiences you need in your life. Place people that will bring those experiences about. And whatever you're afraid of reflecting on, it's okay. One at a time, but do it. Reflect. And 2, enjoy great, deep friendships. I think sometimes in 7s, especially when they're not too healthy, they try to make like 20, 50, 70 friends all at once. And the people that really care kind of can feel left behind. Try to reconnect with them. I'm not saying the people that you needed to leave behind, not those people, but people that you care about as well. And you recognize, okay, I've not really caught up with them in a while. Reconnect with them. Try to really enjoy each other's company and share with them how you've been doing. Be okay with sitting in your feelings a little bit. And last but not least, play a fun and engaging game. Let yourself be fun. It's okay, but try to engage other people in and take time to be excited about that moment instead of trying to do everything at once. A lot. I know. You probably need to like pause, rewind, pause. But that's awesome. I'd love you guys to do that. It was a very like information overload type of episode today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I talked a lot, but
Well, I just received an hour of free therapy from you, Yana. So thank you so much.
yay!
It's
I don't know if
nice
I
that
did a
I
good
got it for
job.
free. I just like soaked it all in because
Oh,
even if it wasn't my enneagram type, there's a lot of things that I needed to be reminded of God's truth. And
right.
again, these are things that were just thrown out there casually, but really it's so hard to do, like trust in God's plans. And I'm like, God, I don't know what I'm doing next
Yeah,
month. Like, I don't know, there's so many unknowns and you're like, what do you
right.
mean trust God? Like, yeah, I'm not like I'm trying to do it, but it's hard, so I get it.
Yeah,
But ultimately, like this is just a good reminder of what really matters and like coming back to what really matters and knowing that we've got a God full of grace,
right.
full of compassion, and just full of so much love for you. And hopefully that will be more of your takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that reality is just, we're broken people and there's no way of completely figuring out ourselves, figuring out our
Mm-hmm.
life. And ultimately, it's really just God coming into our life and working in us and through us. So
Yeah.
that was my takeaway from listening to Yana and just basking in all of her knowledge. So thank you.
Yay! I don't know how I feel about this compliment, but thank you.
Take it, see?
But yeah, I honestly I learned a lot through just all of this too. So guys, it's gonna be as much as it might be difficult for some of you to see that this is gonna be a good year. Really try to hone into it. I also want to say you are worth the change. You're worth the time to heal, to grow, and to engage with. So please, I hope with anything else, if you just like Jessie said, you would take this as a sign to take time for yourself and to reflect on your needs and maybe reconnecting with God. And because that's kind of where we all started too. We both were like extremely exhausted, burnt out, nowhere to turn. I mean, and like I said, we were really careful with the differentiating between burnout and depression. And of course, burnout can lead to depression and other things, but just focusing on burnout, that's the warning sign. That's it. Big yellow, orange, red warning sign telling you, hey, you need to slow down. You need to check with yourself. And hopefully this will be your sign, and that so that you can move into this year with more grace and joy. Yee.
Yeet. And if you can want to continue to listen to Yana and I's personal experience with burnout,
Yes.
and kind of going more into our enneagram types, because unfortunately we can't speak for other people's experiences or their enneagram types. But if you would like to hear about our experience, feel free to listen to the next episode because we'll kind of dissect the nines and the twos and talk more about that. So stay tuned.
I love it. Yes, please stay tuned. Also, plug in, please follow our Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube. Although right now we're having some technical difficulties. I am so sorry. Thank you for your patience, everybody. And please follow our Spotify. I forgot to mention this, but please like rate our podcast. I know. So,
Ooh,
but
I'm
rate
nervous.
preferably all the stars. Thank you. But yes, please. I know engaging with friends and like Instagram feels awkward. I'm guilty of that too. I don't like doing those little votes or whatever, but it would really mean a lot to us if you would start engaging more with our social media. I am cringing, but it would be amazing for our growth and be a growing platform. But thank you so much for listening and loving on us, and hope that this 2023 will bring a lot of stories and a lot of vulnerability and a lot of growth. And so stay tuned for more. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next episode.
All right,
Bye.
bye.